been just hanging out, enjoying life. But the problem is that I have not been myself, because if I spoke my true feelings, which I've had for a long time, the consequences would be, loss of family, and you guys know all that, and, control. 1 year ago or so, I'd drawn my own conclusions and had made my own opinions. And a year ago, I started getting in on YouTube and seeing everyone else out there. I mean, it's a wonderful community that's there. And seeing all the other stories. I mean, my story is nothing compared to so many. I mean, I got a cakewalk. And I watched and followed, and it was so nice because there were so many other people who had drawn the same conclusions that I had, and to see that, it was very, very reassuring. About a month ago, I decided, well, after a lot of contemplation, I came to the conclusion that I could not stand by and watch this destruction of family and this atrocity of humanity go on without speaking up against it. So Facebook, YouTube, Vast Apostate Army, all that stuff. Got into it and ratted out somehow. Somehow someone found me on the World Wide Web, and you know how gossipy and how everything rolls around. And no one of authority, no elder or anything has spoken to me yet, but I'm sure it's coming. So I am now an outspoken apostate gone worldwide, and so they obviously want to shut me up. So, in order to shut me up, they somehow knew, they knew a very, very, or they figured out probably one of the best ways to try to stop me, which would be my grandmother. I've maintained an excellent relationship with my grandmother. My grandkids, or her great grandkids, my children, a great relationship, and it's good. Only problem being is I was not speaking out. That was their first target against me. Today I got a phone call that my grandmother had been talking to the elders about me, and that they told her that I needed to disassociate myself in order to clear up the air, because I've obviously made my choice of not wanting to be with part of this organization. So I went and visited my grandmother, and at a 3-hour conversation, I had to reassure that corporation involvement, difference opinion of religion, whatever, it has nothing to do with the love between me and my grandmother and grandfather. And by the way, he's never been a witness. And my grandmother was baptized like 43 years ago or something. Lifer. Anyway, 3 hours. I had to convince her that we still love each other. I mean, there was nothing had changed. I assumed I had her convinced that I still loved her. I mean, she still expressed her love for me, but she still wanted me to go disassociate myself to clear up the air. I told her I couldn't do it, because that would be admitting that I had done something wrong, which I haven't. I started to, but then I backed off explaining the reasons why they wanted me to disassociate myself to her, because she's captured in the cult and she will not accept anything but, you know how that goes. So she called me back. I got home and had dinner. She called me back a little while ago. Obviously, she had contacted the elders. They contacted her again. They threatened her with disfellowshipping, because she told them that we had come to the conclusion that my grandmother and I had come to the conclusion that I had my opinions, she had her opinions, and everybody's happy. She obviously told them that. They threatened her with disfellowshipping, and ultimately her death. And she's scared. I mean, she is scared as anything. I don't know. I mean, it's sad. It's very sad. The point I'm trying to make is that this cult, these people, this organization is ruthless. They will use anything they can against us. They happen to know probably one of my weakest links, and that was their first attempt to shut me up. And I'll have you know that there is no way I will disassociate myself. They will have to blatantly disfellowship me, which obviously we know means nothing. But I will never admit to something that I didn't do. I didn't do anything wrong, but speak my mind. That's the point I'm trying to make. Well, the big point. They are, in a nutshell, utilizing my grandmother and feelings and fear to control my mouth, to keep me from speaking my mind, utilizing one of my basic human rights, freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is so valuable, and it is absolutely, unfortunately, overlooked every day. If we are not allowed to speak our minds on a daily basis, they ultimately control us, control everything, because through fear and penalties. Controlling freedom of speech is an inhumane act, which only makes me want to fight against it harder and speak out louder. I understand that my grandmother and I probably won't be able to really see each other much anymore. I mean, she's old and she doesn't have too many years left, and that is sad. That is very sad. But it's the reality of this. These are evil people. They don't care about my grandmother. All they want is her loyalty. And they're willing to ravish any family apart that they can. Or to use anything they can to stop us from speaking our minds. So basically, Clint Bussey is a very, very ballsy individual. Props up to him. Not every one of us has that kind of ambition to take those extreme measures that he has done on speaking up and speaking out and bringing light to the silliness of this whole deal. But it still doesn't mean we can't do anything. We have to. It is so important on even the most basic level of human rights that we must speak up and speak out and make our voices heard. So basically that's what I'm saying, is that I will never admit to, or never disassociate myself ultimately admitting to being evil. And raise your voice. That's what I want to say. Raise your voice, because raising your voice, my voice, times a lot, will make our voices heard. And that is the only way, that is the biggest way we can progress this destruction of humanity. So, everybody, stand strong, stand tall. It's up to you. Later.